When we first started making calls to lawyers, we had some real deep discussions about how far we'd be willing to take this before we would back down. Would we lose our home? Would we go into medical bankruptcy? What would we be willing to do to continue the fight for our son? I'm Allison Lefebvre. I am married to Bryce Lefebvre. We have 3 little boys. They are 5, 4, and 2. Miles was born with spina bifida, which is a developmental birth defect. When we arrived home with Miles, we quickly learned that we needed home nursing assistance because of his level of acuity. He would code a lot. So I was, making lunch for my older child and administering CPR for Miles and then running back to finishing lunch. It wasn't conducive to keeping him alive. We needed to qualify for a large amount of home nursing for him to survive and also stay at home with us, which is where we wanted him. We began with appeals processes through the state, and that only took us so far where we were just being denied the services. And while I felt I could advocate for him, it was a lonely situation to be in. When you want a wheelchair for your son and the state says no, it's just salt in your wounds. I eventually became pregnant with our 3rd son, and we found out he was going to be born with the same birth defect. So that's when we decided we needed a lawyer. We started getting personal referrals to usually family lawyers, and we would talk to them and they'd say, "This is a really complex issue. I don't know how to deal with this." It was finally one friend that said, "You need to talk to this woman, Anne." I called Anne right away. She just asked me a couple sentences and said exactly what words are being said to you. And I told her, and she said, "Okay, Allison, I'm your lawyer now." That's how we got introduced to Anne.
The Division of Developmental Disabilities was proposing to terminate her nursing without any notice and without giving her an opportunity for a hearing. What the division was proposing was that they put their very young, very medically fragile child in a group home. The doctors and the medical professionals were not recommending it, and they absolutely did not want that to happen. When she related to me what had been said to her by the staff at the division, I think I was outraged initially just as a lawyer. She and her family had been denied their constitutional due process rights.
When she became involved in our case, really quickly, anyone from the state that was on our case, one, they knew who she was. And I even had one DDD worker that said, "You're really lucky that you have her on your side." We ultimately won, and that crossroad went in a really positive direction for us because now we have the home care we need to keep Miles alive and happy and thriving. So we feel very fancy having Anne. For people that are like us, who are just regular people, it's a godsend because we wouldn't be able to do this probably with a private attorney that we hired. As we face these battles ahead and as I try to build up confidence and energy to keep doing this, I always secretly hope Anne is still there for us because it's so nice to have that one person to call when you've already thrown your hands in the air and thought, "I can't do anything else." There is a person to turn to that creates positive outcomes for a situation like ours.